Most of our history, we didn't have those institutions. The FBI came in during the First World War, and interestingly enough, one thing that Woodrow Wilson did, he used the FBI to spy on American citizens and actually arrest them if they disagreed with his foreign policy about going to war in Europe. And isn't it interesting how recent they used it in the Vietnam era? Democrats used it there. Republicans used the FBI to spy on 100 different groups in this country, including the churches, who disagree with the policy in Central America. It almost looks like the FBI was designed to spy on Americans who might be disagreeing with policy, especially the foreign policy. So the FBI, although I don't think I could condemn everything they've ever done, because I'm sure some of the investigations and investigation of crime has been beneficial, but that could be accomplished through Justice Department within our states. We wouldn't reject that portion of it. But I think the FBI has kept and continues to keep a lot of records on a lot of individuals. The CIA has only been here since 1947. Their record is lousy. I mean, just think of the CIA used by the Democratic administration to...
That, of course, was former U.S. Congressman Ron Paul in 1988, running for President of the United States, calling for the abolishment of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Gee, I wonder what would have happened if people would have listened to him. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org. And man, oh man, do we have some crazy, bombastic political news to get into today. As of course, just when you thought things couldn't get any more wilder, any more contentious, any more dangerous, here we are today with the FBI raid of the former President of the United States. Lots of implications here. The storyline literally reads like it's out of a movie, with the judge signing off on this being connected to some extremely bad, sinister people. What's really going on here? What are the bigger ramifications? What's going to be happening here? Well, we're going to be discussing that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. Lots of shocking, weird, bewildering statements from the Democratic Party today as well. So much news that, of course, we're just going to jump right into it, as, of course, a large amount of supporters of Donald Trump have come out Mar-a-Lago to show support for the former President of the United States. This as the former President of the United States had his property raided by the FBI. His safes were broken into, this being a major, unprecedented move being made by this current administration in a very egregious, aggressive move against what is most likely their biggest political opponent in the upcoming months. Lots of people asking themselves, was, Donald Trump acting like Hunter Biden? What allowed them to conduct this raid? What's the reasoning behind them? Well, as of right now, we don't know, but I think it's very fair to speculate that this is more political prosecution by the federal government acting on the behests of the Democratic Party establishment, since, of course, it's been clear from the last 2 years that the FBI has been becoming more political and, of course, doesn't always have the best ethical records, many times even hiding, suppressing, and ignoring the thousands of victims that came from this man, Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. But the little details we're finding out that this raid is a, quote, search for related removal of classified documents. Lots of people asking themselves if Donald Trump will be allowed to run for the presidency because of this raid. We're finding out that this raid could have been conducted with a mole, a rat, an informant inside of Mar-a-Lago, as the Daily Mail is speculating that a retired FBI agent was a possible informant to this case. There's some media sleuths at the corporate media acting like Donald Trump will be going to jail, as of course this news was met to the chagrin of many people on MSNBC and CNN that were celebrating this news and also accusing somehow, unironically, how the former President of the United States is still somehow a threat to democracy. I remember watching some of these news reports yesterday just being absolutely bewildered, as of course clearly this is a very strong, aggressive political move being made against Donald Trump, who is powerless in this situation and facing the toughest law enforcement prosecution in the nation. Hillary Clinton is using this as the latest campaign for her fundraising, selling hats that are $33,000 and tweeting out a couple hours ago that buying her But Her Emails hats helps somehow defend democracy and progress, and using this situation to fundraise when she deleted 33,000 emails after they were subpoenaed. Donald Trump is literally being raided on the suspicions of mishandling records for what she actually did is definitely off-putting to a lot of individuals and clearly shows some hypocrisy since she is admittedly very guilty of the crimes that Donald Trump is being accused of, to why allegedly this raid happened. And it's also important to note that there are some party establishment members that are breaking ranks, like individuals like Andrew Yang, who are actually condemning this raid, which he thinks is political, because it most likely is. CNN even had their own legal analysts coming out and saying no, that this raid is not warranted because of an alleged Presidential Records Act violation, even going on and specifically saying this.
If this becomes a Presidential Records Act violation, not more, do you think it is enough to warrant all of this?
No, it's not enough to warrant all this. And this is a daring and dangerous move by the Department of Justice to serve a warrant on a former president and to raid his personal residence.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with the CNN legal analyst here, as of course, what just happened in the United States usually happens in third world countries, in Banana Republic, where former presidents, former political leaders are prosecuted by the new political party coming into power. The governor of Florida, where this raid happened, heavily slammed and criticized the FBI for Banana Republic-like tactics. And truly, as you guys know, I'm definitely not a fan of Donald Trump. I have heavily criticized him before, and I think it's very fair to say the road that we are on right now is a very dangerous one, is a very divisive one. It's a one that leads the path to authoritarianism and a justice system that is, of course, political and less centered on actual justice and more on political prosecution, punishment for wrongthink, and there's a big potential for this to actually backfire, and I'm going to be talking about that in just a little bit. But obviously, with this latest news, we also saw Ron DeSantis now becoming the betting favorite for the GOP primary in the next upcoming elections, beating out Donald Trump by 6 cents in the betting polls. This as Donald Trump came out, and as he has been hinting before, is still heavily suggesting that he is going to be running for the presidency in 2024, announcing that, quote, the best is yet to come. And if the story couldn't become any more crazier, any more connected, any more conspiratorial, today we're also finding out that the judge that signed the warrant for this unprecedented, very dangerous, politically partisan raid was also the lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. Bruce Reinhart, who you're seeing here on the left, acted for the personal benefit of Jeffrey Epstein and represented many of his very close associates. This, of course, again, spurring on a lot of deep state theories out there, which of course lend heavy to the support of Donald Trump, as of course the man, the judge who called for this, is connected to some extremely shady, disgusting individuals who of course were connected to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, since of course, as we know, the FBI sat on their hands for over 30 years when they had victims of Jeffrey Epstein coming to them. They ignored them. The FBI is known to have the client list, to have the photos, to have the videos that were found in Jeffrey Epstein's safe, and yet they have not gone after any of those individuals, any of those politicians, any of those celebrities, media moguls, and of course corporate heads and bankers that were closely related to Jeffrey Epstein. And now we're finding out that Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers is working with the FBI to raid the former president of the United States. This, of course, stinks to high heaven. He is known for being a Democrat, and he's the individual that, of course, is politically involved here and has sanctioned this unannounced raid on Mar-a-Lago. Now, Epstein's private pilots, his personal staff, his schedulers, the individuals around him were all represented by Bruce Reinhart, as of course he is known for being the representative legal counsel for Mr. Epstein, who for over 30 years, with the aid and the protection of the federal government, ran an international trafficking and extortion operation that hurt children, thousands of children, in unspeakable ways. Now, is this a coincidence that all of this happened by this particular individual that, of course, is connected to freaking Jeffrey Epstein? Well, That's a question that we can only theorize for now, but I think there's a lot of circumstantial evidence highlighting some shadowy, secretive, unaccountable government agencies that, of course, are using their positions of power for their own personal benefit. Now, again, as we've been telling you for many years, as Ron Paul has been warning you since 1988, the FBI played a key role in the Jeffrey Epstein saga, and they're continuing to play a role covering up the client list, the photos, the videos that they had and still have, the client list that, of course, they have not released to the general public. Trump was also an associate of Epstein. There's reports of them falling out. There's reports of Donald Trump complying with the lawyers going after Epstein. And how far down the rabbit hole does this conspiracy go down to? Well, probably a lot further than a lot of people have expected. We're going to be discussing this and continuing the conversation specifically on LukeUncensored.com. Right after this video, you can watch a brand new spanking video where I want to get into the other side of this story. I'm going to speculate a little bit here, especially on the bombastic comments made by Bernard Kerik, possible assassination news, and a larger warning with what could happen 2-3 steps from now. I'm going to be making that video right now. It's available for you right now just by clicking the link down in the description below and signing up for LukeUncensored.com. As soon as these videos are released, usually the videos for members only, where we could get into these topics, talk about more salacious issues, get into all the hot button issues that we can't on this platform, all on LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up yet for that, what are you waiting for? Sign up right now just by clicking the link down in the description below. Now, still, we're not done here. There's a lot of absolute nonsense coming from the Democratic Party that is still trying to celebrate the passage of their latest bill, which is going to tax, regulate, and inflate the current currency of the US dollar, as well as destroying any kind of economic prosperity. This, as I think this picture perfectly represents the sentiment of what's happening right now to the middle class. This, as the Democrats want to cheer on their policies, which most likely soon they're going to be criticizing and regretting. As today, we're even finding out that a major portion of the bill, which would provide a $7,500 tax credit for anyone buying electric vehicles, won't qualify for all the producers of electric vehicles here in the United States, since there's a provision in there that the batteries have to be built in North America with minerals that are mined or recycled. That doesn't happen, and it probably won't be happening in a very long time. The credit is bunk, just like a lot of the bill that is filled with pork, wasteful spending, and of course IRS agents that will be breathing down your necks. Seriously, we're dealing with some crazy stuff here in the United States. The IRS being expanded, a show trial, an FBI raid. Again, lots to talk about. I'm just going to cut it here because there's so much I want to get into that I can't on this platform. I'm going to be doing that. LukeUncensored.com. See you there for the conversation. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing and you want to pick it up yourself, you can on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. If you thought what I said was valid, share this video with your friends and family members. If you thought it was invalid, if you thought I got something wrong, if you thought I was maybe sensationalistic or hyperbolic, let me know what that was. A lot of this was my own personal perspective. A lot of this was my own personal opinion. And because of the constructive criticism, because of the conversations, because of the dialogue, because of you guys giving me your time and attention, this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.